You're listening to Afternoons with Sofie Formica on 4BC.
Time and time again here on 4BC Afternoons, we've discussed the problems plaguing aged care. Just last week, thousands of workers walked off the job due to not only their pay conditions, but the lack of adequate staffing and their ability to be able to care for their residents the way that they would like to. And when there is a lack of adequate staffing, it's the residents that really do suffer. Studies have found that social isolation can be as harmful as smoking 15 cigarettes a day or having an alcohol use disorder. And it's been associated with a 60 to 70% increase in mortality. Too often, I've heard from you, our listeners, about your mums and dads, your grandpa, your grandma, not being properly cared for in our homes across Queensland. On the flip side, though, there's also some really great stories. People over the moon with how their loved ones are being cared for. One company is trying to make the aged care experience even more enjoyable, and it's SilVR Adventures. This is a company that uses virtual reality to let seniors maybe travel the world without having to leave their chair. It all started in 2019 out of Melbourne. They ran some guided sessions out of an aged care facility, and then they shifted to allow more homes to run their own experiences. Now they're working with about 35 providers across Australia and New Zealand and even in the UK. There's over 300 virtual reality headsets that are helping residents feel like they're doing a lot more than just sitting in a room in a chair. Joining me now is the CEO of SilVR Adventures, Colin Pudsey. How are you, Colin?
Hi, Sofie. I'm really well. Thanks for the opportunity today.
No, absolutely. Look, we talk about virtual reality, we talk about technology. Often we associate those kinds of activities with young people and lots of gaming. This is a really wonderful application of technology that allows people to have an adventure that they would otherwise not be able to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's probably a bit of a myth that older adults and technology don't mix. There's certainly a journey to take people on to build their confidence with a new technology, and that's a big part of what we do as our solution and our program. But once you get them over the hump, where they've had their first few experiences, it's kind of amazing their appetite for new experiences and where they'd like to go and what they'd like to see together.
So where did the inspiration for this idea begin?
Well, as you said earlier, it was in the middle of 2019. I was finishing up in a role with a technology company, and I was looking for something new to get my teeth into. I kind of stumbled on an article about the global population aging and the size of that market increasing, and basically just started Googling problems, and there was just a huge list of problems with aged care and with older adults. And the thing that pricked my ears and that resonated with me was problems with isolation, loneliness, mental health, how that can lead to more serious issues like anxiety, depression, even the early onset of dementia. So I set about looking for some solutions with emerging technology and landed on VR, and that's kind of how the idea was born.
Is it just travel experiences that you're finding residents are using their VR headsets for, or are there other things that they can do?
There's definitely other things they can do. That's kind of how we started. The concept was to bring the world to care recipients and reduce those feelings of isolation. The other thing that we were really focused on was the power of shared experiences. So being able to go on an adventure together, either with fellow residents or your carers or a family member. And then it's evolved further than that now. We're nearly 3 years old as a company, where we provide a turnkey solution, so everything that, say, a care home or a retirement living community needs to be able to do this internally. But in terms of the VR content, there's lots of experience-based stuff, which would be that aspect of bringing the world. And there's also environmental VR environments. So what that is things like customizable avatars, being able to see each other in the virtual world, communicate freely with each other, explore environments, and with that, we can do lots of cool stuff. So for people with disabilities, we can give them experiences in the virtual world that will build their confidence and take that confidence into the real world for certain situations.
That was one of the questions I wanted to ask you, Colin. I mentioned that obviously you can put on a VR headset, have this experience and not physically have to move. But does it help people who maybe have some physical limitations to feel like they are up and about and walking again?
Yes, absolutely. So I would say that our focus is improving the lives of older adults and also people with disabilities, and that's kind of the demographic that we stick within. Most of the time, people who are in a VR session are definitely sitting down. They're not off, walking around or anything like that. But with the VR environments, they certainly have the opportunities to explore those. They would see the same content at the same time, but they can kind of each have their own independent experience within that session.
And have you noticed whether or not the people who have taken advantage of using one of your virtual reality SilVR Adventures are going to places they've never been before, Colin, or are they sometimes revisiting places they've been where they've made some wonderful memories and they'd like to go one last time? I want to walk the streets of Paris again. I might not be able to get there, but I can do it in virtual reality. Or I've never seen the Great Wall of China and I'd really love to see it, so take me there. Is it mostly nostalgia or is it new adventures as well?
It's a great question, and the answer is both, really, because we have a library of tours all around the world that we've built. So if we wanted to take residents on a tour of India, China, South America, wherever they'd like to go, they can go on those tours. We've evolved those to even tours of decades, like the 1950s and 1960s,
Oh, wow.
and different historical events that happened during that time. Even recently, we worked with one of the largest Catholic providers in Australia, and we built a kind of tour of the Holy Land, quite a bit like a pilgrimage that's really powerful and emotional for a lot of faith-based residents and care recipients. But that aspect of whether it's a new experience that can be, really powerful for someone who maybe always wanted to do something, ride in a hot air balloon, see the Grand Canyon, see the Taj Mahal, whatever it was, and they never actually got to fulfill that wish, and then now they're doing that and doing that with their friends. Or maybe even more so is when we're talking about stimulating memories and taking people back to places of personal significance and events and times that, bring back those happy memories. So the key to it all, was what we found, is that we want to make sure that it's meaningful. So it's about giving the tools and the content, the choice of content, and empowering the carers so that they can kind of match the experiences to the individuals and their identities, their culture, their life experiences, what makes them tick. And that's kind of what we found really brings a lot of joy to a person.
I know that you're in the care facilities now. I have no doubt that there would be a way to be able to also have this to be used for in-home care as well. It's, I'm sure, just the beginning of your own adventure with this, Colin. As you said, it is a growing market, and I just think it sounds like such a wonderful tool for those who find themselves unable to travel but can still have those adventures. And I'd also be interested to know in time whether or not research is done to help dementia patients, for example, have those memories come back to life for them, and what sort of implication that could have as well. If you want to know more about SilVR Adventures, maybe you'd like to suggest it for an aged care facility where your loved one is residing, head to silvradventures.com.au, and that's silver without an E, so SILVR adventures.com.au. All the very best to you, Colin. Sounds like a really wonderful idea.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, and if you had it, where would you want to go on a VR adventure if you found yourself not able to travel, but you had time on your hands? Are there places you'd want to go back and see again? Walk the streets of Paris, as I said, or maybe go somewhere else. I think it is one of the most wonderful applications of technology that I've heard of for quite some time.